Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team.
Imagine how quick that vision will come into the footsteps. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months.
This morning is all about leadership and influence. It's that time of the morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let me just see who's online there. Let me just get on here to see, is there anybody online there watching the show here this morning? It is so good to see you all here on this wonderful Tuesday. And it's good to be back. I did not have a show last week, but I was having a ball of a time in Cape Town. And I've really enjoyed myself. I just want to take this opportunity to welcome my team here this morning in the studio. You will hear from them shortly. And everybody will explain their functional role for what they do. This morning, we're going to speak on the subject around teamwork and how important it is for you to work together as a team. We are busy with the Under African Skies Conference.
Oh, yeah.
And based on that conference, I decided to have the team with me here. We're going to bring guys in and out of the studio. And then we're just going to kind of give you an idea of where we are with the Under African Skies. But also, for anyone that's working with a conference, they can also piggyback on this and just gain some valuable information. To start off, I've got a book out entitled One Team, One Dream, based on insights on the F1 concept. Most of you will know the concept of Sam Chad around who's holding my ladder. He designed that concept one day preaching at one church, and he was overlooking the street on the other side, and somebody was on a step ladder, full post office step ladder stretched out, and the person was up and downing there all by himself, and he realized that person can do so much better, so much quicker, so much faster if there's somebody working with him. And then the higher you go on the step ladder, the more severe it gets, because you won't be able to get work out. You know, if you're on top there, it's hard to concentrate and keep the ladder and make sure you don't fall. For that reason, that's his book, and mine is on the F1 concept. Can I tell you exactly how I managed to get to this concept? It was simple. After church one day, I did what all of us will do, what you call channel hopping. So your wife is busy in the kitchen, and you kind of say that you're tired and you just want to rest after the preaching, and you don't, and then you channel hop there. And if it's an excuse or not, it was a good excuse. But then the F1 concept. A car moved into the pit stop, and in less than that time, they were still doing the refueling. In less than 3 seconds, the car was out of the pit stop. Now it's 1.35 seconds. Now, for everybody in the studio, I know I didn't introduce you as yet, but let's say 1,
2.
No, I said you say 1. Say 1, and then 2. That's how quick the car leaves the pit stop. It's like 1 and 2. It's like
crazy.
Zzz. That's how quick it is. So the concept is based on that. The car comes into the pit stop in less than 2 seconds. The fastest pit stop ever was 1.35 seconds. In less than 2 seconds, the car will leave the pit stop. And I rewinded that on that day, and I said, what's happening here? And I check it again, and I check it again. And there the concept, if you know what a Kairos moment is that moment when everything just switched on. It's like a business guy just getting an idea from nowhere. That's your Kairos moment. It just happened with you. And that exactly happened with me. And I decided to write a book. And so this was this book, the first book out, and then I did a companion workbook with it. It is just to make it lighter. Yes. And what I'm going to do, I'm gonna show the video clip of how quick the car comes into the pit stop and how quick the car leaves the pit stop. Now, if you watch now, I want you not to blink, because if you blink, you will miss it. You will miss it. It's going to be quick. It's going to be fast. The car will come in and leave in less than 1.35 seconds. Well, for the sake of counting, you can count 1 and 2, and it will be out. Okay, let's watch that quickly. And out. Let's pray it again. Car comes in and checkman 1 and 2 and boom. That's how quick. Now, just to get everybody back into the picture, if you have the right team around you, that's the power of this thing. If you have the right team around you, your vision will leave that quickly. Well, even if it's not a vision, even if it's short-term goals, it will leave the pit stop that quick. And that's the emphasis of this meeting. If we busy working on the African skies and everybody just do their part, we will be able to have a successful under African skies on the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. Of course, the whole thing is designed in such a way. That's what you call pre-race, in the race, and post-race. Yeah. So where we are now is pre-race. We do all the work in the races on the 27th when we start. That's in the race. And then when we're done with the conference, we do post-race. We call it WIN, worthy of praise, improvement, and never do it again. So in Crystal, we do our utmost best to do a WIN. So we're gonna start just rolling a little, and but before we get in there, I just want to mention to you, because most of the time when I do this lecture, everybody thinks that they've got a darling of a team. Till you sit down and you explain to them you don't have a darling of a team. As a matter of fact, conflict is very healthy. Yes. But the problem is when you don't know how to work through conflict. So let me give you a typical example of problematic teams. We call it a competing team. Instead of doing the job, they compete against one another. Then you do the get along team. I'm just here as long as I get along, but there's no functional role. Then you get a status update team. I don't know if you know the status update team. I think Lorraine will know the best out of this thing, because she's a fundis on the networks. So all I'm saying is a status update work like this, or maybe Llewellyn, but everybody will give the introduction now. Now a status update team works like this. If it's your birthday, they update you. You can even have their page for the day. It's like, we celebrate you. Sometimes only for an hour, then they take the page back. So what happened in a boardroom atmosphere, the status updates people, just update everything that you say and let you feel so important in that moment. But when they leave the doors, they do what they need to. Then the team that lacks commitment, the team that lacks trust, the lack of accountability team, the fear of conflict team. So if you sit in a boardroom and you don't address conflict, you will never get to answers. Then the egocentric team. So it's about the ego. If you don't ask me, I will not do it. They didn't ask me to do it, so I will not do it. Then you get the building obstructions team. This is the people that constantly put hurdles in your way. I don't know if they are called by the devil or what, but there's every team have these people. They make it difficult. Then the lack of focus team. You in a meeting, they play on their phones. They stay not in the zone. And then, do you know what's the severity about this type of people? They always ask the same questions again. You're done with it. Then they get, let's say you're on point 10, then they back to point 5. It's like, didn't you concentrate? Then you get a center of attraction team, then the committee team, the plot along team, then the reinvent team. They're not even done with one concept, then they reinvent another. There's a next one. Then you get a duck and dive team, people that commit, but when you phone them, their phones are off. Oh, do you know that, members? Then the dagger team, then you get the eyewitness team, and then you get an aggressive team. Do you know how the eyewitness team works? Would you like to hear about the eyewitness team? Do you know the eyewitness team? Everybody witness. And everybody interprets the way they want to interpret it. Like, let's say you stand at a traffic light, or what the English will call a robot. You stand at a robot and there's an accident. And you ask this person, hey, what happened here? The person said, no, this person skipped the red robot. And you ask another person. The person said, this guy skipped the red robot, but they hit the guy at what speed? He knows the speed. They said the car flipped 3 times. He said, and it never happened. So in your boardroom, you always have eyewitness people. They interpret the meeting the way they feel they want to interpret the meeting. So which means it's not what you said. And that's the reason why it's always good to go through it again. At a later stage, we're going to do something what we called a who to surround yourself with. But I want to get this conversation rolling here. Well, good morning. I've got 4 wonderful people in the studio, and they are working on the whole team and of the Un-African Skies as part of the team with me. And I'm so thrilled and excited to have you here. And there's more, of course. We'll get them into the studio soon. But let's start with Lorraine. Thank you so much. The only rose among the thorns here. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming, Lorraine. Tell us a little about your role.
Well, good morning, everybody. Doctor, thank you so much for the invite. I was like, Lorraine Stalls. I remember when you made the announcement, I can't remember the specific date in January. I was like, I'm on that team.
It's it.
I'm like, I'm not waiting for an invite. I'm going to SMS Doc.
Yeah.
Can I be on your team, please?
And what's the function? What role do you have on the team?
I'm the project coordinator. I'm working under Pastor Roden and working side by side with Llewellyn and the entire team. So my role is to make sure that everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do. I sit on their backstream. I'm like, guys, come now.
Yes.
You know, what do you need? I make sure they have what they need. I make sure that everybody is clear on their roles as well. In the meeting, we coordinate, myself and Pastor Roden, on the agenda and what is the goal for the day, and we keep record of all the meetings, and we make sure that the following week we have feedback that's not just words, but action was actually...
it was action.
It was action.
Yeah.
Yes.
Llewellyn, tell us about you. Good morning, and thank you for coming onto the show.
Good morning. Well, so I'm Llewellyn. I am looking after the communications and the marketing side of Under African Skies.
Before you go there, give us that long name that you go by in business, because he's a business guy, and he's sowing his time into ministry because we need specialists in specific areas. So just tell us who you are.
Okay. Well, let's go. So I'm a chartered marketer. I'm an accredited marketing mentor with the Marketing Association of South Africa. I'm digitally certified, so I'm Google certified. I'm a social media specialist. I like to call myself a connection specialist because my whole function is to connect, whether it's companies and people or people and people. My whole function is about connecting people. I like to think of myself as a bit of an anthropologist, but more of a social stalker, because I'm always studying people through the lenses of social media, understanding how they communicate, how they view life through what they post, through the highlights they post on social media.
So tell us about your function within Under African Skies.
So in Under African Skies, I'm very privileged to be able to work with the communications, with taking the Under African Skies conference to an audience broader than the confines of a church congregation. So we're using strategic media. We're able to use the likes of Google and YouTube and all the social media platforms around us. We're also combining it with traditional media. So we're also using outdoor. We're using old school methods like SMS. Interesting to think SMS is an old school method. But we're using old school methods like SMS and email as marketing tools, and just strategically bringing all of that together. Because what we're trying to achieve is, from the moment you first see an Under African Skies banner or an Under African Skies video, you should already be that's your first point of contact in terms of the experience that we're trying to create.
That's great. Let's see who else is here in the studio with us.
Oh, is that me? Hi, I'm Pastor Roden. Doc, thank you so much for this opportunity. Apart from my functional role as looking after the strategy of Crystal Church, I'm also the project manager for Under African Skies. And the functional role of that is to take the vision of the visionary of Under African Skies and make sure that that is implemented in terms of the project, as well as make sure pre-race, in the race, and post-race works out perfectly.
Yeah, Lorraine, you're gonna like this one. the Yes Boss team. You know what that means. People just agree with you. They just say, they say yes for everything, but they really don't do it. That's a huge frustration. I've got also Pastor Xavier with me here in the studio. What's your function on the team?
So at the moment, apart from being one of the speakers at the actual conference. Yeah. I'm also closely working with Llewellyn with the marketing side of things, designing the posters, designing the videos, and also working with the marketing team as far as JC. Just making sure that the image stays consistent throughout, making sure that the visuals are clean, making sure that the audio is clean, making sure that the message that we're trying to get to the people is coming across correctly, and that when people watch the video or see the pictures, or it's making sense as to what they can expect when they come on the day. And then of course just overall kind of just keeping my eye on the whole project to make sure that we are in the right direction, and that the vision, like Pastor Roden was saying, that the vision is going where we want it to go and saying what we want it to say. Because I feel like if that's not closely watched, with too many different ideas and too many different people, it can easily take on a different form, a different shape, and start going into a direction, and then you get here on the night, you're like, hold on, but this isn't what we discussed in the original in the original breakdown of this thing. And so I'm kind of overseeing the thing from the top, making sure we're in the right direction, alongside the visionary and of course everybody involved.
So Llewellyn, just tell us where we're now in the process. If you have to if somebody watch us now and say, okay, I hear what you guys are saying, but where are you now and how did you start out? So if you can most probably speed us up to where you really started off with the whole team on day one, what happened on day one and how you had to build it, and where you're right now with the Under-African Skies.
Well, we were very fortunate to have quite a diverse team assembled. And I think our first exposure in the team was a shock, because it was very different for a lot of people, because everyone comes with their own flavor to a team. And it's about, most importantly, understanding the heart and the vision. I always refer back to what is the heart? What is the heart? What is the heart? Because the heart is the drum. It keeps the beat, and we've got to stay in line with that. So our team has been very active and very dynamic. We've had a lot of I won't say conflict, but we've had the opportunity to sharpen one another. In terms of direction, in terms of creative, in terms of execution. But we've been able to really pull off a lot in a short space of time. We are about halfway through this campaign now. We really officially launched it around about the 14th of February. And I have to give credit to this team, because it's an amazing team. We've pulled off we've got a fully functional, conference-specific website. We've got a registration portal that is really at a global standard, that allows us to give real-time responses to people when they register. So the minute you register, within a second, you've received correspondence from us in your email inbox that you've registered and that we see you there. It also allows us to build a solid database, because understanding that we also have to be POPI compliant. So we've also put in the checks and balances in place to make sure that we're protecting the people's data when they give us the information, when they're registering. So we've got all of that in place. The team has put together a range of videos that we're publishing across social media and across YouTube. We've got those. I call them disruptive. Many people call them annoying. But whether they are annoying or disruptive to you, one thing is sure: you can't miss them. So we've got ads that people cannot skip, that are on platforms that are on strategic platforms.
I just want to hear from the team. Is there any response? Did anyone phone you and say, "I see your ad coming up in the middle"?
I had 2 instances, and I personally also experienced that videos when I was on YouTube over the weekend. Then out of the blue, here Under-African Skies popped up. I was quite surprised and glad that it's happening. Yeah, we are. If I can just go back, I think the very first meeting that we had, we literally bunched a whole lot of people into one room, and we started brainstorming. Yes. And we started saying that this is what we want to achieve. I remember we stood at the whiteboard and we listed literally every aspect of the conference in terms of what is our expectation. At that time, we didn't actually put names to it, but that came in the second meeting. We had started putting the team together. And like you say, Llewellyn, it's a diverse team.
Yes.
What I love about it, one of the complexities, I guess, of teamwork, and Doc most probably will elaborate around that, is if you're in the corporate world, you've got a dedicated team that you are working with. In our environment, we're dealing with a quite complicated team. Yes. Why I say that is because we've got full-time staff, then we've got volunteers.
Yes.
And sometimes when you deal with volunteers, it's they're not always available, but their gifting and their talent make them critical for the team. So when we sat down and we decided on the team, we looked at talent, we looked at gifting and ability, and making sure that those gifting and talents are coming to the party to make sure that Under African Skies is going to be successful. What I also just want to add is I'm so glad Under African Skies is back. It has been away for many years. And you know, it's Under African Skies. We're celebrating 30 years this year. You know, this was birthed in the heart of Dr. Carl and Pastor Joan many moons ago. And we are making sure that this flagship conference is back on the radar of all churches, not only in South Africa, but internationally. Yeah. And the team is really geared up for that.
I just want to know from through the lenses of Lorraine, and then I will get to Xavier. If I look at who's surrounding a car, there's 3 guys per wheel. That's 12 on the F1 concept. There's the book I'm handling. So the one guy takes the nut off. The other guy takes the used tire off. The other guy put the new tire on, and the other guy put the nut back. That's the reason why the car goes so quick. The pit stop goes so quick. Then you find that you have the driver, but the driver also deals with data during that time. Mm-hmm. Then you have another person, which is called the aerodynamicist. So the aerodynamicists do small adjustments on the vehicle if needed. So this is this team of 22, 25 people around the vehicle. Then there's one guy, he looks so insignificant. So he will stand there with something that looks like a drill, a big drill. That is in case the car switched off. Yeah. And then he will restart the car. But that happens maybe not even once in a whole season. Yes. And it will not happen. But that day, he's there. And sometimes this guy doesn't look as significant. And teams also have that people. They look so almost as if they're so insignificant. But when you need them and they're not there, you will know that they're not there. It's like keeping the place clean. It looks like an insignificant job. But on the day when the cups are standing all over the show and the place is not clean, you will know somebody didn't clean up here. So if I have to go into this, basic intelligence, this is who you need to surround yourself with as a team. Now, basic intelligence doesn't mean a high IQ. So you must just understand the basics at least. So which means if I give you a task, just you also use the word a lot, basically. You don't even realize it, but you love the word. Basically, I mean, actually just saying, but it's the basic aspect. Then a person at least with moral intelligence, because we're working with church, and somebody with spiritual intelligence. At least if you correct somebody around the table through the text, the person at least should come to the party. And I think this is a big one. Emotional intelligence, EQ.
It is.
So did we ever had problems on our team with EQ?
Yes.
Now don't mention names. Just give us scenarios. What happened with it?
You know, with emotional intelligence, or rather with us as people with emotions, all of us have emotions, all of us. And we basically tap into those emotions. It doesn't matter if it's bad or positive, negative, whatever. So with a team, sometimes your idea is not a bad idea, but is maybe not relevant for that certain event. It can be maybe used another time. Yes. But because your idea was not used, you feel like I was overlooked, and it wasn't like that. Now you get to see this person who's now despondent. Now you have to no, man, it's not like that.
It's not like that.
So with me, that is quite a challenge, because I feel that I'm on a very different level, especially when it comes to working with people. I really don't have time for that sensitivity because work needs to be done.
Yeah.
You owe me achterman, you know. But you also have to be cognizant of the people around you and be sensitive towards their feelings, because then you also don't want them not to participate in future in giving ideas, because maybe that time that will be like their moment to say, yes, no, we can use your idea, you know. So, yeah.
If I may ask Xavier, how would you interpret somebody with low EQ?
Yeah, so low EQ, look, EQ is the be all and end all. Without emotional intelligence, you're not going to achieve much in your marriage, in any relationship, in a work environment. Emotional intelligence for me is I can work with someone that has a higher EQ and maybe a lower IQ, but then I can get more out of that person because they're actually willing to be there. They want to get things done. And if you correct them, they'll say sorry and keep it moving. But if you have someone with a low EQ, it's really like Lorraine says, it's like, yes, bro, come, let's just get this thing done, man. Now I must pay you and ask you, are you a writer all the time? And just really frustrating the process at this point. But again,
So what would you say if you have somebody with a low EQ in your team? What's the way out?
So the way out, again, here's the thing though. The way out is that you need to, like what Lorraine was saying, you need to make the person feel included also, because you don't also want to isolate the person and like, no, man, hey, you know. And for example, if someone does suggest something and it isn't really what will work for that moment, then be diplomatic. And the most diplomatic person that I know in this room is Llewellyn. He can smile and say, you know what, let's shelve this one for here, or let's use this one for there. And that's a diplomatic answer. But if you're going to be disrespectful and say, no, man, this thing is not nice, how could you say that? Then, of course, what you're doing to the person, you're shoving them now into a corner to say, no, man, this thing is not working. And now the person feels insignificant. They feel stupid. They feel like, okay, right, next time, then I'm rather not going to put up my hand, or I might just sit and be quiet.
So what you say in general, you find that you can be guilty of a low EQ yourself.
Yes.
Let's say if somebody else suggested something for how you handle the situation, as Lorraine mentioned earlier. So somebody most probably suggested something and it's not relevant for now. And how you approach it also plays your level of EQ.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest dilemmas. Somebody mentioned to me the other day that the new MBA program, they make a EQ course like compulsory, because it's important for people. It brings that cohesiveness. Will you gel in the organization? Will you? Is it a misfit, or do you fit on the team?
Yes.
Anything on emotional?
And it's so important to master emotional intelligence, or to learn to identify other people's emotional intelligence, to see where they are in teams, because in today's world we're working in teams. We've been through a period where we were separated, where we had to have meetings online, where we were separated in terms of physical presence, but the world is coming back. And we've got to now get together again, where we learn how to deal, how to play, like with children. You got to learn how to play together. You got to socialize. Like if you have pets, and you bring a new pet into the room, you have to socialize that pet with the other ones that's there, so that you don't have one running away. It's the same with teams. You need to learn to socialize the team and identify. I think the one of the key strengths for a leader is to actually identify where different people in the team are emotionally, also where they are mentally, and try and coax them into where you see them.
Just on that one point there, in this book I mentioned, I started off with the first chapter on vision.
Yeah.
The second chapter, very deliberate, on strategy.
Yeah.
The third chapter on quality leadership. Now, if you might have the first one right, the vision can be on paper.
Yes.
We want the Under African Skies Conference on paper, and we can work it out on paper. But if we don't strategize what's on paper, it's almost like a strategy called the words into action.
Yes.
It's also good to have a strategy again,
Yeah.
because a strategy is still paperwork. But there's a last point, quality leadership.
Yes.
That's the team that will make double sure that whatever you have in mind will come to fruition.
Yes.
And that is so much needed. So to surround yourself with the right team is very, very important.
Yeah.
And also allow growth, isn't it so?
Yes. Correct.
Because some people need to grow. There's another one that I want to mention. we call it adversity intelligence. How will you interpret that?
Adversity intelligence. That means making the right decision at the right time, even though you get adversity within your team.
Yeah.
It's how to deal with it.
Yeah. So for instance, adversity intelligence is simple. Even though whatever the person is saying is not really relevant for now, but it's to allow the person to speak and to say, because you might not, and be part of the team, you might not take everything that a person mentioned, but there might be just 2 lines and you will miss it if you stop the person too. So you must be very versatile within the teamwork. So adversity is important. Another way to interpret adversity as well is to don't have black and white. Because if you go black and white, if the team starts too late, or the meeting goes overtime, or somebody's too long, if you black and white on it, you will never build the team. You should allow adversity intelligence.
You know, Doc, you mentioned that, and utilizing the person that stands with that jack there that seems to be insignificant. We've got somebody in our team, and as recent as last week, that person said she doesn't feel part of the team because she feels that she's not bringing a lot of input into the team. And then last week, we started, she gave feedback. And for the first time when she gave feedback, I said, now that's the reason why you are here. Because for weeks you've been quiet, but you were observing.
Yes.
So that's valuable feedback.
I just want to bring some more people quickly into the studio. I want to bring a person by the name of Clayton in, just to hear what's his role on it. And we're just going to let him in and out of the studio just to give us a functional role, and then we will continue with the right people in the right place. Who do you surround yourself with in the team? So we're busy with the Under-African Skies, and everyone that wants to, we just take you a little behind the scenes in order for you to know what we're doing and how we do it. So Clayton is with us in the studio. Clayton, thank you so much for coming in. You always around the studio and on the other side, more on the technical side. Good morning. Tell us a little about your function on the Under-African Skies.
Good morning, all. My function deals with technical, meaning from lighting to camera work to graphics for the morning, the master classes, and also the preaching. So the sermon outline for the people to follow visually as the preacher is speaking or the speaker is presenting his presentation. And also technically, meaning in setting up of the lights and everything that's external that we don't have in-house to set that up. So that's basically my function. Yeah,
you gave it the long and the short. you also play a very, very big role in the camera work. So you have a team again. So you work with us as a team, and everybody actually works like
Yes.
that. They represent on our team, and then they have a team on their own. Tell us about your team.
Recently, we just had a lot of people, a very diverse group, also more female this time, of people joining our team. So we have a lot of guys to assist with the graphics in the sound booth, and then we have guys that do camera work. So what we're currently doing is we're teaching a lot of the people that came in. We had one person joining last week, so I'm actually glad that we're using the Wednesdays also, because now we can teach and get the impartation into them faster than every week. So now we can be prepared for the conference.
Yeah, great, man. I'm gonna ask you. I know our producer is also somewhere there. If you can bring her in at some point, but I just need Xavier back just to talk to us a little about up and coming Wednesday. What are we gonna do on Wednesday? So while he makes himself his way to the mic, it's important also to have somebody on your team with humility. How will you interpret that?
Sure, that's, that is so important, because humility is I think it's a very tricky term for people to come to terms with, because some people see humility as weakness, because this person always will back down or they'll back away. But I think strategically within the team, you need someone who will balance humility with wisdom, and not so much a critical ear, but an ear that's willing to listen to all sides, and then balance it with what is in the best interest of the event, what's in the best interest of the brand. So yes, you have to, and I would say not a person, but you need a combination of people that can balance humility, who are willing to actually say, well, look, I love the idea, I love what you're doing. I thought my idea was great, but let's give yours a bash. Let's give yours a try. Because at the end of the day, I think important in these dynamic teams is not wanting for myself to shine, but wanting for the team to shine.
Another interesting aspect is hardiness. So somebody with hardiness, it almost sounds like, you mean we must have humility and hardiness? Is it possible? Yeah. Hardiness is so impossible for any team to work on, because you also don't want to babysit people on the team. You must be strong at times, and you must be able to take it on the cheek. And if you're right, you're right. And if somebody check you on certain things, you must correct it for whatever reasons. And you need to have a strong heart to follow through.
Correct.
Oh, sorry. Now I wanted to say something on hardiness and being strong. I think there's an element where it comes to EQ where there needs to be this approach towards a team dynamic that when we're dealing with work, then this is work. And then if we are having a conversation about a thing that wasn't done or a thing that should be done, that's work. So we can have a difficult conversation in a boardroom setting. Difficult where I'm coming for you or you coming for me, but on the basis of what was done or what wasn't done, you say that, but you agreed in the last meeting that by this time, that time you were going to send it. Did you send it? Hey, no, I didn't have a chance. Don't make excuses. You were supposed to send it. Now you've kept the whole team. That's work related. We can finish that boardroom meeting and still walk out and laugh on our way out, because it wasn't a personal attack to the individual's abilities or the person's character. It was, hey, you agreed that we were going to do this and you didn't show up to the party, and I was checking you on that. I wasn't attacking you as an individual.
Yeah.
I must just admit, go ahead.
So for me to conclude all that is accountability. So for me, if you trust somebody, because you don't want to micromanage people. So if I trust you with the task and you don't deliver, you need to be open for feedback. A friend of mine was talking yesterday about the burger method. I don't know how he actually phrased it. So you start off soft with correction, and then when you come to the petty is where the hardiness comes in, to say, okay, fine, that's what your responsibility, you didn't do it. What's your reason? So we can support you if you needed support, but you need to communicate. And don't just communicate. You need to effectively communicate. Like, guys, I have a problem. But don't tell us about the problem the day you need to report. You must tell us days before that I'm having challenges in this, because although I have a role, I have to multitask as well. You're not just glued to one task. You need to be everywhere at times. Flexibility is needed in a team. So, but most of all for me, accountability stands out most.
A positive attitude. That is one. How important is that in the boardroom?
Oh, very important.
Critical.
It's
critical. Because once again, it comes down to what good is your negativity going to bring? I always say, you can shoot down the idea, but give me a positive. Give me something to come in to balance your negativity, balance the critical with something good. Tell me what we can do better. If you don't like what we've done, it's fine to disagree, but always come back with something positive. Give me a solution. Always be solution driven, and that is important. That works hand in hand with keeping positivity.
What is the biggest frustration for everyone around this table? What is the biggest frustration in a boardroom? What frustrates you the most?
Honestly, it is where people still think in silos in 2022, where they think my department is my department. I'm looking after this. You're looking after that, and the two will never meet in the middle. Where at the end of the day, where the world we live in, it's all about experience. So it's experience of the whole. So all of these little parts, all of these departments are there not for their own glorification, but it's for, in the context of where we are, it's the kingdom.
Yeah.
It's how can each department, how can each silo break that down and come together to bring your strength. Whether you're in hospitality, whether you are in the car park, whether you are serving food, whether you are the technical person, whether you are the creative that no one ever sees. How can you bring that together for the good of the kingdom?
The interesting part is to do well what you do.
Yes.
But do it inclusively.
Inclusively.
So if the car comes in, no, I make jokes when I lecture this. I said instead of people changing the tire, they leave with the tire. You know what happened once on one of the F1 races? The colors are the tires are color coded, either white or yellow or red. And this one guy, they managed to bring out 3 reds, and he brought out a white.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the technical director, and this is where I want to get to, the technical director gives you instructions. And at that point in time, you were maybe on your phone, or maybe at that point in time, you didn't have full attention. And then instead of bringing, because you cannot leave with 3 red and 1, because the white is a hard tire, the yellow is a medium tire, and the red is a soft tire. So now you have these 3 soft tires and a hard tire on the F1 car, and the car will not conclude. So based on that, there's 4 aspects, and I think we just need to discuss this quickly before Xavier explain to us what's happening this Wednesday. There's 4 listening techniques. The first one is to listen.
Yes.
And we're going to unpack it a little. The second one is to interpret. The third one is to evaluate. And the fourth one is to react. You want me to say that again, Lorraine? Okay. The first one, you listen, then you interpret, then you evaluate, and then you react. And everyone around the table, for your functional role, for where you are, this is the biggest frustration. Because if you fail on the first one by just not listening, and sometimes you can be so occupied by so many things. And I must admit, sometimes I'm guilty of this, because more at home than in the boardroom. I'm very disciplined in the boardroom. But at home, my wife will say, I mentioned this already to you, but are you guilty of that?
Oh, yes.
But I'm not so sure if they did, because
put
women.
my hand up for that.
I'm not sure if I must put my hand up, because I think sometimes the ladies are using this as a scapegoat. And then my wife said, I told you 3 days back. Is it like, really? Did you really tell me 3 days back? It's like, I can't remember that. But then she said, I wish I could recall this. I said this to you. It's like, oh, you never. She's like, no, I did. So the listening part is important. So how you hear. You can hear a lot of noise or sound. I can hear you talk. But what are you saying? So that is for the boardroom, and to get under African skies successful. If it's Lorraine's time or everyone's time or turn to speak, everybody should hear, so that you don't ask an unnecessary question later. Because that's most of the time what happens. And I must just admit, that frustrates the daylights out of me when somebody go back on something that somebody explained already. So the listening part is important. So that's the next one is how you interpret what you hear. You want to say something about that?
Because, and like what Doc rightfully illustrates, it causes the meeting to move on, for us to move on faster. You know, if you can interpret correctly and act on that interpretation, and make sure that because we are blessed that we're sitting around a lot of innovative young minds. And sometimes for us, it takes us a little while to interpret and understand that.
Thank you for the compliment.
But that's why it's critical to really listen carefully. And what we've done is we've recorded all our meetings to make sure that we interpret what is being said. So
there's another point. We record all our meetings. So we can go back onto the meeting. And somebody cannot say we never said that.
And we don't record for that purpose.
No, but it's good. But it is good, Lorraine. I don't think it's bad.
For that reason.
But it's good. It's like Lorraine, you said what? Watch here. Look here. Now the listening part, specifically, you mentioned something very important. If it's Llewellyn's turn to explain to us how the multimedia platforms work, and he used a lingo,
Yes.
you can easily shut down.
Yes.
And not hear him, because he is building a case in order for you to understand what he's trying to say. So how you interpret it is very important. On evaluation, Xavier, what will you say after the listening, the interpretation? How will you evaluate?
I think it's important to if you don't understand what the other person said, stop and say, are you saying that this or this or this? Is that what that means?
Clarify.
No, that's not what that means. So now if you didn't interpret and evaluate what the person is, now you're already on a different direction. So now when we come back to the next meeting, yeah, but you said we must, no, that's not what I said. I said we must do this. But what you did, didn't you hear what he said? Yeah, he did say that. But the way the miscommunication came in was exactly there.
Yeah.
The interpretation of what was said. And then the evaluation of that, it does now make, I don't understand what this guy was actually talking about. Like if Llewellyn's using lingo and he's saying the algorithm needs us to have this amount of clicks and that, and you don't know what algorithm means, or you don't
You can
know,
easily switch
then
off.
you're like, nah, I don't know what this was talking about. Now you were supposed to share that thing because we needed to post it at a particular
Or raise
time.
your hand and ask what's
What's
this
algorithm
is?
and what do you mean by that?
And then you back into the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to know.
Yeah,
It's
and then
okay.
Llewellyn says, no, this is what it means, and we need this amount of clicks in order for the video to get these views so that these people can see the video. Because it's an important part of the marketing plan here. So if you don't know and you're in charge of something that's critical to that plan and you don't understand what it meant, I mean, then you keep the whole thing behind.
I just want to know. I was gone to Cape Town for almost 7 days. I had a good time. 10 engagements in 7 days. But I want to know. I was not in our last meeting today. You guys have a meeting again. I just want to know. On Wednesday we'll come together.
Yes.
But what's the possibility to turn Wednesday into the way you had the Influencers Day, like red carpet, like popcorn, maybe not. What can we do different for when the congregation walk through the doors on Wednesday? I don't think it's a far-fetched call.
No, it's not.
Do you think it's possible?
All things are possible for those who believe.
Can I mention something? Can I mention something on that? Remember, I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the conversation where we as humans are emotional and we lie. So what you'll end up finding, especially in a board meeting, if there's no order, and which Lorraine does well, she keeps the order. If there's no order, the conversation becomes we're now visiting. Yeah, and that. Then we start talking about other events and other church that did this and that. And then later on the conversation goes in a completely different direction. And before you know it, you're sitting there for an hour and a half having a conversation about something different. And then you realize, hey guys, we're still busy with the meeting here. Oh, yeah. And then you're still on point 2. But the reason that happens is because human beings are social people. They like to have an environment where there's food and cold drinks, and we're gonna sit and talk and chat, and we like that. That's our makeup. That's what we are meant to be. So to answer the question of what we can do for the Wednesdays is that the Wednesday needs to be like an environment where if we do have snacks on the table or whatever the case may be, it must be like almost like a social thing, because we as humans, we also receive information better when we're in a relaxed environment, when we're in an environment where we feel like, okay, I hear what you're saying, when we can talk and we can chat. What happened at the men's camp, I was going to say the men's camp, the boot camp, the men were in one room together, and the conversation was flowing and the guys were chatting, and after that, the guys came back and said to Llewellyn and to myself that, hey man, we must have something in the men's conference about that conversation that we had in our dorm, because the guys need to come together and we have to have this conversation. But the reason that conversation flowed the way it did, because we're all sitting there with shorts and flip-flops and we in a relaxed environment, we're going to sleep together in the same dorm tonight, and we're in a nice environment, so that communication flows, the ideas flow, the connection just comes together tightly. And so if you have that kind of connection with a big team for a big event like this, it just makes for a better user experience. Like, now I want to go to this thing because now if we're going to have it like a church service, people will be like, do I want to now come and have church again? But if it's an environment where it's like, this is like a social thing, but we're also going to get the job done.
So what's important from a marketing perspective, we should sell Wednesday.
Yes.
As well to the congregation, and how you sell it is important. Because remember when you guys did the Influencers Day, It was so beautiful. One person walked up to me. It was Lester Lynch. He's always in front in church. He's active. He's a volunteer. He said, "Wow, I feel like a visitor to my own church today." But the guy was he's always involved. Now that let him feel so special. So I think we should do something around that. What do you say?
Yes, we will.
I definitely agree with you, and just to give some additional context, I want to give a broader picture. So we've been working on a 49-day calendar. So when people see rollout of different elements, it wasn't thought of just at the spur of the moment. So what we did was we have an activity for every single day of this 49 days leading up to the conference. And the importance of Wednesday, I love the addition of us just making it a little bit more special for our congregants, because I'm a firm believer in stakeholder engagement. And you identify different stakeholders. You don't speak to them all in the same language, because you don't want them to you don't want the verbiage, and you don't want the jargon to put someone out of the meeting, to put them off. That's why you have influencers separately, because they speak a different language. Then we had a separate engagement for our HODs and our leaders. And strategically, it happened after the influencer engagement, because we needed to give more meat to our leaders than we gave to our influencers, because the influencers needed to have they just needed the glitz and the glamour. But when people ask questions, by identifying our stakeholders, we knew if I have a question, I'm going to ask the person who I know would possibly have an answer. So that's someone who is a leader in that church, who is an ambassador, an HOD, someone who assists me in the car park, because I can ask them a question. So now when we get to the next leg of the stakeholder engagement, which starts on Wednesday, it also gives us an opportunity within the volunteer departments to now effectively practice what we've been doing, practice the training that's been going on behind the scenes, to see how can we actually effectively greet 2,000 people when they walk through our doors on the 27th of March.
Yeah. Can I just get Leandra in here, just to tell us a little about the creativity around the whole event and how it will play itself off here on the opening night.
Yes,
that is the specific night. So everybody, that's Leandra Boyson with the S.
Yes, with an S at the end.
I married somebody and it was without an S.
Without the
It's
S,
like
yeah.
Boyson,
Yeah.
and
People,
you are Boysons.
they get it confused,
They
but
get
it's
it.
two S's.
It's
in there.
weird, now, because sometimes you have to say the Boysons family, and it sounds like you say a Boyson, but it is only a Boyson.
Yeah.
But if you say, with
Yeah.
two, it's Boysons.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you, it's like Hendricks. You say the Hendricks family, but you need to say the Boysons family. It's weird. You go ahead, tell us a little.
Okay, so I'm heading up the production creative side of the conference. And so we have an opening production happening on the first night of the conference, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about it. So I was supposed to do the museum and the production, but the thing that we talk about and what we learn in our boot camps and what we learn from Doc is being able to delegate. And also, a lot of the times people burn out because they want to take on the pressure and they don't want to share because, it becomes a thing of then I must share my glory. And that's not what it's about. You guys spoke about it. We don't work in silos, we work together. So you identify people with talent. You identify people who can do what you can't do. And so I've identified Evangelique to head up the museum and to design the museum. And she does an excellent job at that because she's got a background in interior design and art is her specialty. And then I identified a group of people within the church. Doc told me long ago about this guy. His name is Sia. And Doc was like, I want you to get him on your show. He's young. He's a director, a film director. And I was like, okay, cool. And then the opportunity arose and I was like, I need a film director. And then there's Jennifer, who's in the choir. So she serves in the choir, but she's got a background in drama and musical theater. And so it was like, we need that person. And then there's Lisa, who did her honors or her masters also in the dramatic arts. And I was like, these are the people that I need. And I put the team together and it was just magic. I'm not lying to you. When you identify people's talents, things flow so easily. I mean, I didn't have to struggle. These people, and because it's their passion, like it's my passion. When we got together, I'm telling you, if you could see, like, with the eyes of a producer or with the eyes of a director, there were sparks everywhere. Wow. Like, if you could see it like that. And so we came up with the whole storyline, and we worked on it, but it happened so quickly. Normally when I do a storyline, it takes me like about a couple of days. We did it within a couple of hours. Wow. Just brainstorming and coming up with the ideas, and everybody, it's just absolutely amazing.
Give us a snippet into the launch, the opening night.
Okay, so we're doing an abstract drama. So with abstract drama, there's not a lot of dialogue, and we use a lot of, so it's like almost it's a combination of everything. There's physical theater, there's film, there's music, there's all those elements that's coming to play. And it's the story of Crystal Church, the last 30 years of the organization. And it's going to start from the museum. So you're going to get an idea of the history, the rich history. Doc went searching for, I can't believe he's got so many things. Like, people would look at him and say he's a hoarder, because he literally has the first camera, he has the first typewriter, he has a typewriter, there's typewriters, there's some fax thing that, look, yeah. I like to think I'm vintage, but hey, this is another level of vintage, okay? He's got his first bicycle when he was without a car, and he had to ride.
Don't forget that bicycle.
Yes, Llewellyn is a bike enthusiast. So he's got the first bicycle. So we will be creating the whole story in the foyer. So basically in the passageway. From the passageway, we will lead into the opening production. And like I said to you, it's abstract. We've got the ambience with the lighting. We've got the music. Our director, who is Sia, he's coming up with the scores so scores is basically like the music for the production. And it follows the storyline. There's only 7 scenes, but it's so impactful. There's one scene that's called the money shot. And the whole audience is going to be involved in this. So there's one scene that basically you're going to feel like you were in that moment because of all the elements that we have put together to create this magic.
Enough. Let's get Xavier back here to explain to us Wednesday, and then can you believe it? We have to wrap up now.
Wow.
Sure. Yeah, it was just a quick in and out on this. You can't believe that we've spent an hour together just on the discussion about teamwork and how important that is. Tell us about Wednesday.
Okay, so when you're working with multiple people, different people from different backgrounds, different environments, and it's not the same team that works together all the time. It's important that everyone needs to get into a space where we're all on the same page, right? So if you're working with the same team that comes to you every day, we speak about the same thing all the time, we execute all the time, we start building a nice kind of momentum with one another where we can almost, like the cliche says, finish each other's sentences, right? Because we're always together. But the second you start trying to pull off a bigger event, different people, you have to bring them into a space. Because the importance of Wednesday is, okay, whoever wants to volunteer in whichever area, we are inviting you to come into the space so that we can get that synergy, so that we can get that momentum flowing, so that when the people do come on the 27th, we're all on the same page. We all know what's happening. We all know where we need to go. We all know who's in charge of that corner, this corner, and that corner. What time, what's happening, who's doing what. And so that's the importance of coming together on a Wednesday, because if failure to do so, you can't come on the night of the event. And now, where's the person that was supposed to be? I don't know. Nobody said anything. I didn't know I was supposed to stand. And then you have that mixed up, and then now you have guests. You have people that flew from other countries. You have people that traveled 15 hours, drove up from Cape Town, from Kimberley, from wherever. And now they come here on the night of the event. They heard about it. The marketing was so nice, and they've seen about this event before, and they're excited. Now they come in here and find this chaos. And so the best thing to do is to get that group into a room and say, guys, here's what we're doing, here's what's happening, this is the time we do this, you stand there, you stand there, you stand there, you stand there, are you comfortable? Is there any questions, any comments? Where are we? Is everyone on the same page?
Yeah.
So
execution is key.
So allocation is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which means we must be clear, and we need about 300 volunteers.
Yes.
on this day?
Doc, if I can just say, when we said in the service 300 people, a lot of people's eyes went big because they couldn't understand where are you going to place 300 people. So if I have to just give you an idea, we need car park attendants, security staff, door greeters, accreditation attendants, people for the guest pastors lounge, volunteers for Kids Believe, in the VIP lounge hostesses, foyer hostesses, museum ushers, cameramen, LED screen engineers, host and hostesses, caterers, restaurateurs, sound engineers, stage managers, floor managers, program directors, stage ushers, baby room, paramedics, first aiders, safety officers. And if you allocate the numbers, the teams
You
easily get to 300.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need on the Sunday just 100 people to run the organization function. Just on a normal Sunday, you cannot function without 100 volunteers. Well, that's it. Closing remarks, Lorraine, from your side.
We need each and everyone to really be part of this conference. If you don't feel the vibe already, I really do not know where have you been. This conference, as we know, is designed to reignite us. So I believe the flame is there. Catch it on, people. Please come and be part of this vision.
Yes.
You know, it is exciting. It's nice to be part of the dream in its build-up, in the race, guys, man. We're heading to the race. It's a pre-race. Join us, be part of it. We need you. Please come.
Llewellyn?
Also, well, yeah, I also want to echo those sentiments, and I want to add a clarion call to every single member of Crystal Church to be in this auditorium on Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Because if you think what we've given to the media was good, and then what we gave to the influencers was good, and then what we gave to the HODs and leaders was good, wait until you see what we're going to release to you on Wednesday night. Because now we are at the meat portion of our communication strategy, and we want you to be involved. We want you as part of this team. You know, the old cliche in teams is teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
And that is so relevant today. So, yeah, we can't wait to see you, because Under African Skies 2022 is going to be an amazing event. I believe it's already been predestined and preordained by God for this time. So you're either going to be standing on the sidelines watching everything happen, or you're going to get in the river and be part of it.
Great. Xavier?
Yeah, so again, I think everyone wrapped it up quite well to say that, look, just be a part of it. Hop on, be a part of the energy, the vibe, and catch that blessing while it's on its way. Like the cliche preacher saying goes, if God is blessing, your neighbor is in the neighborhood. So jump on and catch that blessing.
Yeah. Pastor Bora?
I want to quote the Doc's book again, One Team, One Dream.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be part of this vision, need to be part of this dream. Come and be part of an exciting team, and we're going to make it work. Believe it
Or not.
Yeah. The theme of the conference is simply believe it or not. Yeah. From me to you, thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful Tuesday. God bless you. You must have a super, super wonderful day. I ask you gracefully just to sign on to this page, and then just hit that bell every single time when we're on. You'll know that we are on. God bless you. Take care. I love you. Mwah. And God loves you best. Have a super Tuesday.
Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team. Imagine how quick that vision will come into the footsteps. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months.
This morning is all about leadership and influence.